send Go, not GoFundMe. Fuck them guys.
Why?
I don't know if y'all been keeping up with the trucker convoy, or as the Canadian government has issued, the trucker occupation. So, yeah, I know Peach is loving this whole situation, right? You know, workers of the world rise up, overthrow,
kind of. But it's not great.
What was not great?
The government response to it. It has not been great.
It's okay. So in Canada, in Ottawa, the capital of Canada, there has been the trucker protest going on about the vaccine mandates. And what the truckers have done is they drove their big rigs and other large trucks into downtown Ottawa, made about a 50-mile long convoy line. They parked their truck and then they honked their horn for a minute straight. And they've been doing this for about a week now with no end in sight. The Canadian government has been against this the whole time. Justin Trudeau, a person who actually joined some of the violent protests in 2020, actually fled the city and is in hiding over this.
He's in hiding?
Yeah, he's in an undisclosed location, I should say, for his safety, because they were afraid somebody's going to drive a big rig into the Capitol. I don't know. They're Canadians. They already said sorry.
So to add to that, the Canadian government, especially in Ottawa, also put out some warnings to all the healthcare professionals to make sure they keep their passwords secure so that no one tries to input names into the vaccination registration records.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I've seen a couple tweets, like DeSantis was like saying that this is like fraud, but like they gave the money back from GoFundMe to the people who.
That was announced today. So the issue has been, so Friday afternoon is when GoFundMe put on hold the donations, right? So there was roughly 10 million Canadian dollars in a fund that was scheduled to be handed out to truckers to help with everything going on. And GoFundMe put it on hold, and then Saturday and Sunday they announced that the Canadian government had officially considered this an occupation of the capital. So these people are all illegally protesting, and thus they're breaking the law in Canada. And so then GoFundMe said, well, if that's the case, then we are not going to issue the funds to the designated cause. You can file for a refund, and any leftover money is going to be given to an approved charity. Well, that was a whole, that was a whole lot of backlash came from that. And then this morning, GoFundMe announced that they are going to be refunding all the money directly back to the donators, which makes sense.
The first step, like,
but real quick, some reports that are coming back that people are getting their money back, but instead of like the $15, they're getting $14.75 because GoFundMe is charging the people the fee, even though GoFundMe is the one that canceled it.
That's bullshit. Like, regardless of the situation, which I think is kind of a load of shit. Like, we had protests last year, and this is a similar protest, which I think is people their right to do. You know, they're exercising their right to speak out against something they don't believe in, and then for all of a sudden the government say, "Oh, this is an occupation." Like what is that about? Like, it's not this, it's a double standard. And then to say like, oh, like, we're not going to give your money, to them, what you donated to, what you signed for, what you approved your credit card to go ahead and fund this. We're going to give it to somebody else, and then turn around and be like, okay, here's some of your money back. That's a terrible look for GoFundMe. That's bad PR.
That's fucked up. Like, I understand why they. Sorry, Ethan. I understand why they.
No, you're good.
I understand why they decided to cancel it and refund everyone's money. Like, I get that from a legal standpoint. Like, the Canadian government can come after them and stop any interactions with GoFundMe on the Canadian side. I understand that from a business aspect, but to charge people the fucking processing fee that you canceled and you're like, that's bullshit.
Well, and so that was a lot of people were suggesting you call your debit card or your credit card processor and demand a chargeback, because then I think it was like $15 for every chargeback. Oh. So if you donated 15, you would cost them 30 in essence, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah. I was like 30 and change, because the processing fee.
Give me my 25 cents.
But so a lot of people are bringing up the point of, so let's go to the most extreme, the CHOP or Chaz, whatever it was called at the end, right? Mm-hmm. It was literally an occupation in the middle of downtown Seattle where they closed off blocks. They had armed gunmen defending these blocks, and there was at least 6 reported deaths that happened in here, right? In the Chaz. GoFundMe still fully supported it and never even put one account on hold during that situation. Now, when you do compare the Bill of Rights that the United States citizens have to the Canadian Constitution, there's not as many protections that they don't have they don't have protected speech, right? Like they have hate speech laws, or they have other laws like that. Like they don't have protection for religious practices like we do. And so when you look at that, that's how they're able to, I guess, call this an occupation, even though by far this is a peaceful protest. Like there's been a handful of bad actors, but literally there's like 6 reports of bad acting. When you're talking hundreds of thousands of people and there's like, that's not even a decimal point.
Yeah.
So are they just handling their PR right now, or I don't know, like, do you think any legislation will come forth, like, talking about these companies? And because how can you crowdfund and pick and choose?
Exactly. So that's the real big questions coming up, right? Because for one, this incident's happening in Canada. So even though GoFundMe is a United States company, they are in fact acting within the laws of Canada in this situation, right? And we can all disagree with it, but again, this is up to the Canadian Parliament to come together and address the issue on their end. Now, here in the United States, we've seen a lot of this happen. This has been happening over the last couple of years, right? And it's happened to a lot of people. Patreon has also done a similar situation to this. And I don't know if there's anything we can do besides use the power of our dollars and just say, we're not going to give them money anymore, and use one of the many alternatives that are out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, like, I've used GoFundMe a couple of times, for things that have come up, like with friends or people I didn't even know. And I hate how, like, they solicit, like, they put in, like, a pre-generated dollar amount on top of your donation. And you have to, like, be sure you read through it and uncheck that dollar amount. They're like, oh, this will help GoFundMe keep running. I'm like, no, I just want to donate to this cause. Like, you get money off your ad space. Like, I know that you do.
And then don't forget their cut of the profits whenever they do pay out.
Right.
Yeah, and I guess this comes back to a lot of the digital items, right? We're moving into the digital world. How do we handle these situations like this? And a lot of people called it fraud. And I would say if they had literally just said, oh, well, we can't donate to these truckers, and they just gave the donations right away to somebody, then yeah, I would say you have a claim for fraud.
Mm-hmm.
But since they're offering refunds, I guess, there is an option, right? So if you have options, then it's not fraudulent.
I don't know. The whole thing, like, the only thing that's what's the word I'm looking for? I lost my train of thought. Only thing that I'm taking away from this is that I'm not going to use GoFundMe anymore. But if you want to support this channel and everything we do, make sure to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/officialmillennials, or check out our GoFundMe.
I know. No, and I mean, the shenanigans that Patreon pulled were one of the reasons why we decided. I mean, we were like, hey, we rather have people come be a Twitch subscriber than a Patreon subscriber. It's just,
yeah,
there's more value there.
Yeah.
Like, we can engage with y'all. Kind of unlike how Google just doesn't know what the fuck it's doing.
Well, that wraps up another great episode. And don't forget to join our amazing and supportive community on Discord.
In our Discord, you can find game nights, watch parties, food picks, Dungeons and Dragons, and more. What's not to love about that? We have a little something for everyone. Head over to our website, officialmillennials.com, and you'll find more info, especially our featured Gamer of the Week.
Speaking of something for everyone, we have a book club. We read a book almost every month and talk through it together. We also have a special perk for our subs to discuss other books in a series called Chapter 2.
Don't forget to swing by YouTube and drop us a follow at Official Millennials. You can also find us on Twitter at MillsOfficial. We appreciate all the support, and y'all have a good one.
This is an Official Millennials production.